The only ones who never failed are actually those who never do anything. What if I told you that the key to success isn't avoiding failure? It's actually embracing it. Sounds crazy, right? But think about it. Every time you fall short, you are not moving backwards, you are actually moving forward. Hey there! Today we are diving into how failures are actually stepping stones to greatness. Stick around, because you will learn how legends like Thomas Edison and Michael Jordan turn their failures into fuel for their success, and how you can actually do the same thing. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Hey, I'm David. Welcome to my channel, where we focus on helping you move forward towards your goals by sharing proven strategies for personal growth and success. Today we are going to talk about why failure isn't your enemy. It's actually your greatest teacher. Now I get it. You're probably thinking, David, failure sucks. It's painful and demoralizing. And yes, it can feel pretty awful in the moment. But let me ask you this. If you are not failing, are you really pushing yourself? Are you really growing? By the end of this video, you will see how most of the successful people in history use failure as a tool for growth. Plus, I will give you a few practical tips on how you can turn your own setbacks into stepping stones. Sounds good? Let's dive in. Alright, let's start by talking about how failure is often misunderstood. Most of us grow up thinking that failure is bad, right? We are taught to avoid it at all costs. But here's the thing, it's part of success. Think of failure like a rough draft. When you're writing an essay or working on a project, that first attempt is really perfect, but that doesn't mean you crumple it up and quit. No, you use that rough draft as a starting point. You see what works, what doesn't, and improve from there. That's exactly what failure is in real life. It's not the final product. It's part of the process. Every time you fail, you are not moving backwards. You are actually moving forward because you learn something new. Failure is not giving you a stop sign. It gives you direction. And look, I know failure can be hard to face. It's disappointing and sometimes feels like the end of the road. But here's a mindset shift. Instead of thinking, I am a failure, ask yourself, what did this teach me? Because trust me, there is always a lesson somewhere in there. Now, I know you are thinking, that sounds great, David, but does it actually work in the real world? Well, let me introduce you to a few people that you might have heard of. First up, Thomas Edison, the little guy who invented the light bulb. Here's something they might not have taught you in school. Edison failed over 1,000 times before he got it right. Can you imagine failing at something 1,000 times? Most of us would give up after what, 10? Maybe 20 tries? But here's what Edison said about it. I did not fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps. That's a mindset shift, right? Each failure was just a step closer to success. Now, let's take a look at someone else. Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all times. Did you know he was actually cut off from his high school basketball team? Imagine being told you are not good enough for the team, and then going on to become the most iconic athletes of all time. Jordan did not let that failure define him. Instead, he used it as motivation. He famously said, I have failed over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed. Jordan turned his failure into fuel, practicing relentlessly to improve his skills. Now, let's contrast this with someone who struggles with failure. Ryan Leaf, a former NFL quarterback. Leaf was the second pick in the 1998 NFL draft, right after Peyton Manning. The expectations were sky high, but Leaf's career was a huge disappointment. He struggled on the field, clashed with teammates, and ultimately was out of the league after just 4 years. Lift's inability to cope with failure led him down to a destructive path. He fell into substance abuse, legal issues, and a spiral of denial. It took years before Leaf could confront his failures and begin turning his life around. What's the difference between Leaf, Edison, or Jordan is how they responded to failure. Failure is inevitable, but it's your reaction that defines whether it becomes a setback or a stepping stone. And finally, there's Walt Disney, the man behind Mickey Mouse and Disneyland. Believe it or not, early in his career, Disney was fired from a newspaper for lacking creativity. Can you believe that? But instead of letting that defeat him, he used it as motivation. He wanted to prove them wrong. And well, we all know how the story ended. These people didn't succeed in spite of their failures. They succeeded because of them. They used every setback as a lesson, and each failure brought them closer to their goals. So, how can you start embracing failure in your own life? Here are 3 actionable steps you can take. First, shift your mindset. Start viewing failure as a feedback, not a finality. When something doesn't work, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Instead of, why did this happen to me? By the way, before I forget, if you're looking for more tips on how to embrace failure and turn it into success, I put together a free guide with actionable steps and a reflection worksheet. You can download it by clicking on the link in the description. Second, take small risks. The more you put yourself out there, the more comfortable you will become with the possibility of failure. Start small. Maybe try a new recipe. Strike up a conversation with someone new. Or tackle a small goal that's challenging you. The point is to get used to stepping out of your comfort zone. Every no gets you closer to a yes. Third, analyze your failures. When something doesn't work out, take a step back and look at what went wrong. What could you do differently next time? This way, every failure becomes a valuable lesson that helps you grow. Remember, it's all about developing a growth mindset. Resilience and perseverance are what will get you through those tough times. And most importantly, be kind to yourself along the way. Alright, we've covered a lot today, but there's the main takeaway. Failure is not the end, it's part of the path to success. In fact, the more you fail, the closer you get to your goal. Sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? But as we've seen, it's absolutely true. And hey, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content on personal growth and success. Join our community of people who aren't afraid to fail, because they know it's part of the journey. Remember what we said at the beginning. The only ones who never failed are those who never do anything. Keep this in mind when you start worrying about what people might say or think about you. The only ones who never failed are those who never do anything. So, you are facing failures. Congratulations! It means that you are out there, taking risks and working towards something meaningful. The next time you face a setback, remember Edison, Jordan, and Disney. Every failure is one lesson learned, a step forward. You are not starting over. You are starting from a place with a greater knowledge. Now, share your personal experiences with failure in the comments below. How have you turned a setback into growth? Your story might just be what someone else needs to hear to keep pushing forward. Thanks for watching, and remember, embrace failure, learn from it, and move forward. You've got it.